Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we are going to be making a card using the Betterpress letter pressing system from Spellbinders. I have already done a video showing and kind of unboxing stroke review of it for you, so just doing a basic how-to, but for this video we're going to be making an actual project, and this particular plate comes also with complimentary layering stencils. So that's what we've got here. We've got just an image of what it can look like. So I thought that would be really nice. I need to make a Mother's Day card, so I thought that this would make a really nice Mother's Day card. So I've picked out some colours here. The stencils, I've got 3 layers for the flowers and 3 layers for the leaves. So I've got 3 flower colours and 3 leaf colours here, and I'm going to be using my Distress Oxides for that. I find they blend really nicely, and just really like Distress Oxides, to be honest. Anyway, let's get started with creating the letterpress element. Okay, so here's our letterpress platform. I think this part they call the chase and this part is the platen. So this time, as I said I thought I would try a different piece of cardstock. Last time we used the piece of card that came in the kit. This is a piece of lovely, I don't know if you can just see, oh, you can see the texture, lovely watercolour cotton paper card. It's quite a nice thickness, so that will go on here. Now it actually, I didn't realise it actually is perfect A7, which is basically 5 by 7 inches. The plate itself is called what? Floral Celebration. As I said, you can get this on its own, but I got it as a little kit with the layering stencils as well. Now this isn't quite 5 by 7, which is handy because I want to stick, not that there, I want to stick my, oh gosh, there's so many layers to it. It's actually a lot smaller, so that's good. So that gives me the chance, when I stick this down with tape, because this is a full plate, I don't want the tape to be in the way, so I'm just trying to make sure it's straight, so that when I put my piece of card down, I know that when I cut it on one corner it's going to be absolutely perfect, so it just makes the cutting part easier. So that bit is done for the minute. So next we want to stick this down. So we know that we've got just a small amount of wriggle room on the sides here for tape, so we can't go too far in, but the top and the bottom are fine. So I think that's going to hold still. I don't think I need to put any at the sides. I think we can probably get away with that. So then what we want to do is get our ink pad. Now again, as per my original video, I'm going to be using a different ink pad to the one that comes in the kit. So we're going to use this Memento one. I'm using inks, and I thought that this would, we know with the markers it stays put. We're not using watercolours, so I'm hoping that this will work okay. We will see. So we're just going to ink this up. Now we need to very carefully pop that down. We don't want it to squish at this point. And I'm going to go off to the right here and pop this through my die cutting machine. Okay, so we will now discover, perhaps I should have only done one thing at a time that was different, but we will now discover, is the paper working fine, because it's different paper, and that obviously will be by the depth of it. And then 2, how does this different ink fare up compared to the Betterpress one. So then we're just going to take that off, and that has come out lovely. So we're going to allow that to dry. Okay, so I am now going to stamp my sentiment. So I've got this Stampin' Up! Happy and Heartfelt stamp set, and it's got Happy Mum Day, but it's sort of made it that you could use it whether you're from the UK or the US, because it's got a heart for the either the O or the U, so you can get away with it wherever you're from. So then I'm going to still use the Memento ink so that we get consistency in our colour, so it blends in with the border of our flowers, etc. Oh, it was upside down, I didn't even realise, not that it matters. So let's just turn that around so you can see. So that's come out really nice. That's come out nice as well. So that's that bit done. So again, that's going to be chopped up in a minute, but I will just leave that to dry before I'm going to die cut that bit, and then I can see what I've got left on there. So we'll just pop that to one side. And then we have the stencils. Now I've ordered them and I've got them the right way up. So just there in the corner there, you can just see there's a number 1 and it goes right through to 6. So we're going to take number 1 and then we're going to position that over our letterpress piece here. Now this one's pretty easy to work out. It's looking like it's pretty good on the corners actually. I've got some more tape because obviously you're going to be inking and it's going to move around, so just make sure that it feels nice and firm. So the first colour, and I wrote these down because I thought I'm going to forget what I planned. So the first colour is Picked Raspberry, and I've got here, let me go through what I've got actually. So I've got for the flowers, I've got Picked Raspberry, Spun Sugar and Squeezed Lemonade. And then for the leaves, I've got Twisted Citron, Mowed Lawn and Peeled Paint. So hopefully that works. So let's start with Picked Raspberry. So let's just test it on the side there, which is also the advantage of having this. So liking that colour. So I'm just going to hold it down with my fingers to make sure that as I do it, it's going to not go too mad over over my fingers. What you don't want it to do obviously is to go outside of that stencil, you know, underneath as it were. So I'm just slightly trying to shade it a little bit. I'm just going to use a paler version of the Picked Raspberry by allowing it to soften off by softening it on the side here, and then I'm going to I need to do that, and then I'm going to go back, although some of these are coming out okay actually. So and just by dabbing it on the side, I'm just taking some of the excess off, which is allowing me to get some sort of a little bit of sort of dark and light on the actual flowers. And then I'm going back just down the sides of some of these just to blend it out a bit, add a bit of extra dark to some of the edges here. I'm not going any particular side, I'm not fussing about, oh, the shadow would be here. It's just a background sort of fun thing, so I'm not getting too hung up on that kind of detail. Okay, so let's peel this off. I'm going to clean all these afterwards. I'm not going to worry about doing it as we go along. And that's come out nice, hasn't it? So this is the next one. Okay, and this is spun sugar. So again, let's just start with it pale. Not that it is exactly a dark colour anyway. And then we'll go back in and add... Okay, so we've just done like a palest coat of that. Now I'm going to go back in and just add a little bit of depth, if it will let me, with this colour. I might just try, let's pop this on a minute, the one that had some of that residue on there. See, has it still got enough on there? Maybe it's just got a little bit, so add a tiny bit, literally just a tiny bit of that slightly darker pink to the edges there, just to, I'm barely touching it. I'm almost not going over into the flower, but it's just adding that little bit of extra depth around those edges that I was trying to darken up. So let's peel that off and see what we have. Whoops. Oh yeah, that looks nice, doesn't it? Well, I think it does. Okay. So number 3, oh, I've covered up my little book that tells me, is squeezed lemonade. And again, let's go in for a pale start. Okay, now we're going to go in with a little bit darker. So again, let's peel that off. Oh, that's looking nice. I like the colours together. That's just giving it a little bit of a pop. So the next colour I wanted after this is Twisted Citron. So we've got our leaves now. And then we'll go back and add a little bit extra. Okay, that one's not differentiating quite as much as some, but I'm not worried too much about it. Well, that actually came out really nice, didn't it? It's coming along. I'm loving these layering stencils, templates, whatever you want to call them. Generally, I've been wanting to try them for ages, and when we did our advent calendar, there was some in there, and I thought, yeah, I like this. It's effective. I wasn't sure how they'd be, so it was quite nice having them in the calendar so you could have a go. So the next layer we want is Mowed Lawn, which is this one here. And I'm not getting fussy about this one having differences, although it's sort of coming naturally on this because I'm just sort of plopping it on. That's a technical term, blobbing it on. On for the next green because it's peeled paint. That's the one colour I wasn't sure about, so I'm definitely going to try it on the side. But I thought it was a colour that would just sort of tone it down a little bit as well, where it's all quite bright. I thought that would work quite well. Oh yes, I'm happy with that. Okay, so that is our last layer. So let's peel that off and see what we have. There we go. I think that looks really pretty. Pleased with that. So we're going to leave this to dry off and we're going to move on to the rest of the card. Okay, so we're going to cut out our little sentiment here. So I'm just going to chop, I think that should be, let's do it this way round because then I can see. So it's going to be about there. So that should be fine there. So now let's just make sure that's straight, because I want that other piece to go on the inside. So I want to, I know it's not even yet, but I'll want to give myself as much sort of space as possible so that I can make sure it's the size I want it to be. Pop you out the way. Okay, now this die comes from the Spellbinders Grommet Tags set, which is really a nice set. I use that quite a lot, I think. I feel like I do anyway. I don't know. And this, I'm using my magnetic platform through my new Sizzix machine. I think I said to you at the time when we did the review video that I did actually message Sizzix themselves and check that you could use your magnetic platform, etc., through from your previous Sizzix machine through this, and it would be okay. And I've got that, but in email, so in writing from Sizzix themselves, that it is fine. We want it, as you can see, there's a very slight curve here. So what I'm going to do is have the curve upwards, and that should start putting some pressure on it to bump it back down straight. So I'm just literally going to feed that in my machine. Okay, so that came out beautifully. I don't know if you can just, there we go, you can just catch, there's also like a little embossy bit there. Okay, so I've got some Stampin' Up cardstock here, which is Pear Pizzazz. I really liked that colour. I didn't show you this now, it's all dried off. Hasn't that come out really nice? Now it's dry, you can see it's just sort of softened down and you can really see like the shading and stuff. But I thought that went really nicely with that. You could do the pink, obviously, but I felt like there was already, the pink was already quite strong. And so I thought that the green looked really nice with it. This actual card base here, the whole thing is 5x7, so I'm going to try a 5x7 card and then cut that to go on the front, and hopefully that will work. So we want 10 inches along and 7. So how many times I've gone 5 and then I've got a square card and then 7 that way. And we'll score that at 5, and then I use the top of that to help make sure that it stays square, which is not quite. There we go. So that's our card base. Now normally I wouldn't personally use the coloured cardstock from Stampin' Up as a card base, just because I prefer heavier. Okay, so we're just going to now go back to our sentiment, and we've got this here, and I found this nice sort of slightly sparkly shimmery ribbon colour. So what I wanted to do was pop it through our sentiment so that we've got, so we don't need loads, but let's not cut it off until we've put it through. I think that's the easiest thing. So we're just going to put it through the hole there. Sorry, I forgot I zoomed in and you wouldn't be able to see. Keeping it nice and flat on the back just because it's easier. Gosh, I pulled that through far too much. Ah! Come back, come back. Do not need that much, so let's put it back that way a bit. Like so. And what I am going to do, just put a little bit of the tape pen on the back here, because then it will stick it down and just make sure, because it's quite slippy ribbon, so that will just hold it in place. So then let's see where that sits on our card here. So it's going to be like that. So we've got it approximately 1.25 inches from there, so we want about 1.25 inches from here. So let's just mark that very lightly. Just a smidge bit more. That's too much. There we go. That it would be nice to have a little decorative element to the corners, so I'm just going to use my corner chomper here. There we go. So let's pop that down because that's going to be flat. Okay. So that's that. I think that came out nice as well. Once that's dried, you can really see how that came out well. So that's that one. And then for our outside, do we want to do anything to the corners? No, I think we'll leave it as it is. So what we do want though is some foam. So that's all good. Right, pop him and make sure, let's put this in position, even though I haven't got the that like that. Okay, let's pull these backs off. And then stick him down, centered about there maybe. Go. And then just take this. I'm going to do it straight, I think. So just a little bit of the ribbon popping out there. Final little touch is some glitter, and I'm just going to do that onto our flowers, just a little bit of this clear crystal shimmer, because that way we won't lose the colour that we can see here, the beautiful blending that we managed to get with our flowers here. Okay, so I've got lemon ice. I had a yellow as well, but I thought this was better because this is quite a lemon rather than a yellow. Okay, there you go. Okay, so there it is, all done. Glitter, check. Pretty colours, check. Green, definite check. and sentiment, and a sentiment on the inside as well. So this is for Mother's Day, which is end of March here in the UK, but again, you could use this with any sentiment at the bottom. There'd be no problem. Obviously, this is very universal. So I hope you've enjoyed making this card with me. If you have, I would be ever so grateful if you could give this a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and oh, by the way, if you want to see photos of the finished card, etc., then do go on across to the blog post. The link is in the description box below. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now. Bye.